Hey guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. In today's review we're going to be taking a look at Woodle Tree 2 Deluxe. Now this is published by Chubby Pixels, so a thanks to them for giving me the review copy and making this video possible. Now I'm very sorry for another slightly delayed review. This game's been out for about a week now, but it's just been so many games coming out in the last few days that there's just been too much to do. But anyway, so Woodle Tree 2 is the sequel of, obviously, Woodle Tree Adventures. Now, personally, I didn't ever play the first one. I didn't really even know it existed. But apparently it sold around about 100,000 copies, which is quite impressive for an indie game like this. Now, unlike the first one, this one is actually going to be exclusive for the Nintendo Switch. So obviously all gameplay is recorded on the Nintendo Switch. Woodle Tree 2 Deluxe is a bit of a mix of multiple genres. Now at first glance you can obviously tell that it's like an old school 3D platformer, but not so obviously. It also has some RPG elements like upgrades, new moves. You can customize your character quite a bit, especially on the cosmetic side. And apart from all that, it also has a complete open world, free to explore pretty much from the start, straight after the tutorial. And on top of all that, it also includes a 4-player co-op mode, which is a obviously new addition to this game, where you can play with up to 4 friends and explore the world. This is also local and online, so you know, it's a pretty nice thing, at least for a Switch game, to have local co-op, couch co-op. That's one of the best things about the Switch. I always said it. Now at first glance you can tell that it's a bit on the minimalistic graphics style. That kind of reminds me of a few games, but most importantly when I'm exploring, it reminds me quite a lot of Minecraft. Like just the way the world generates in front of you, really squarish, minimalistic. And obviously you can't mine or craft in this game. That's nothing to do with it. I'm just talking about graphics style, which is something I personally really like. I really like when it's minimal, but at the same time it's really colorful and cheerful, even kind of on the darker maps. Now the map is completely free to explore pretty much since the start. However, there are multiple worlds or areas to explore. These are the main areas, even though obviously you go into these areas or worlds without noticing, no loading screens or anything like that. So it is a complete open world, like I said. Now in each of these main worlds or areas, there are going to be free water teardrops that belong to a tree back in the hub area. Now this is obviously the main objective in the game, and the story doesn't really go more than that. You have to retrieve the drops that got stolen from the tree and bring back the color and the happiness in the world. It's very simple, but it normally is in these type of platformers. Now each area or level is quite big, some more than others, especially some of the later ones, though you can do them in absolutely any order you want. And to be honest, there's really no reason not to go to level 7 for instance without doing the rest of them, because the enemies don't really get that much harder or anything like that. So you can do any of the levels in whichever order you want. Each level is based on their own unique theme, like a snowy mountain, which also has lava right below the ice apparently. Yeah, some of the designs are a bit weird, but you know, you're basically controlling a little tree, so who am I to really argue with this? Now for the main part of the game, it's obviously a platformer, so the majority of the time you will be jumping or looking around for the path for the next drop. And something I do like about this particular game is that the path is not all that obvious, especially in some of the bigger levels. You can easily miss a drop and get later ones. Also there's a lot of other things hidden around the map. Just like most classical 3D platformers, this is also a bit of a collectathon type game with collectibles to decorate your house, red fruit and blue fruit to buy different cosmetics and upgrades for your character. As far as enemies go in the worlds, it's not that there isn't enough variations of enemies, because each area does have a nice kind of amount of enemies that go with that particular theme, but it's just that their attacks are pretty damn predictable. like really predictable, and even if you do get hit by them, all you have to do is back off for a few seconds, wait until your leaf or health recovers back to full HP, and then you can just basically go right back in without even having to worry about any consequences. Now, while I mention all this, just keep in mind that it is a $12 game, and you do get a really nice amount of content for the price, especially like with the huge world. The world is actually ginormous for this type of indie game, and especially at this price. Now, as far as how lively the world is when you are exploring, now outside the hub area where you can obviously find your house with the collectibles, you can find the trees that you have saved, you can see how much stuff you've got, you've obviously got the shops where you trade in your collectibles to upgrade your character and get some cosmetics. The rest of the world will feel maybe a little bit empty sometimes, especially if you are playing on your own. Like, it's nothing horrible empty, but it would have been nice if they maybe added a few things. Like, the only NPCs you'll come across are just like a few NPCs that will give you maybe a little clue or say something about the environment or the area you're in. And I think this game would be a lot, or at least feel a lot more lively if they included maybe a bit more side quests, or, you know, a bit more of those mini games that you normally find in this type of game. You know, stupid little mini games, maybe a gliding mini game, since you can glide on this game with your leaf. Maybe a little mini game, see how far you can glide, stuff like that. Just those type of little mini games and stuff would make this game feel a bit more lively. Now, something I do, however, like about this open world is just how easy it is to teleport around. From the start menu, the map menu, you can literally teleport to any of the checkpoints that you have been to previously. No matter where you are or what you're doing, you can go back to absolutely any of them. So, you know, it's nice that you can maybe, if you get stuck on a level, you can go back to one of the other themed levels, or you can go back to exploring without having to walk across this massive map. However, I will say at the same time that this is definitely not the worst map to walk across. It's kind of actually quite chill and interesting to explore this world while you are on foot. Now, on the technical side of things, remember that this is a Switch exclusive game, so everything here is on the Switch, like we said before. Now, it runs absolutely fine, but you will see quite a lot of things pop into view. Now, most of them are little things, but especially if you're like on top of a mountain and you look down, you will see some quite drastical things pop into view. It's like the render distance isn't really that far at all. But, you know, apart from that, there's maybe a few visual glitches, especially when retrieving the last drop, and it kind of shows the little cutscene of the tree in the hub area coming back to life. There's, I think all the time, every single time that I've got all 3 drops, there's been a visual glitch there. But, you know, that seems like something they'll fix because it's like pretty much 100% of the time. But there's definitely nothing that will completely destroy your gameplay experience. Now, the music is, you know, also really calm and chill. So it's okay in my opinion, because this is definitely a game that I would like to maybe lay down at night with the handheld mode of the Switch and just chill, maybe have a few hours on it just before going to bed. Now, apart from that, the sound of some things can get a bit annoying. Now, personally, I really didn't like the sound the main character does when you're jumping. Sometimes you'll maybe have to spam the jump button every now and then. And yeah, the sound can get quite annoying. That's probably more of a personal thing, but I kind of just wish that they would have went with a different sound effect when the character is jumping, or maybe add in a few different variations of it, because though there are 2 or 3, they repeat themselves quite often. Now, all in all, though it is a pretty basic platformer, I think that this is a great game to play in the handheld mode for the Switch, just to chill out. It's a fairly easy game. The controls aren't frustrating for the type of game, the type of platformer it is, and is a really nice and colorful, fun game. For me, it's going to be an 8 out of 10. Woodle Tree 2 Deluxe is now available on Nintendo Switch. So hopefully this video was helpful, guys. If it was, please go like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.